Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, giving this video a thumbs up, and hitting the notification button. It really helps me understand what you like to view, what better content I can put out. So it helps my channel grow and helps give you content you're going to want to view. So this is my 2014 Ultra Limited. We put Legend suspension on the front and the that's the rear. Put Legend suspension on the rear and the front about a year ago, and I kind of wanted to give you an update and give you an idea of what Legend suspension's done for the bike, and how we've come to really grown to really like this setup. So these are the 130 Legend suspensions. These are the heavy duties. We had the bike for about a year before we did it. I'm a firm believer in waiting a year before you do any upgrades. You're not trying to solve problems that aren't there. Katie, my wife, who rides with me all the time, you'll hear me refer to her as Backpack. She had broken her tailbone a few times as a kid, so comfort really was a big deal for her. So we got the Ultra, the idea of making it more comfortable for touring. We did find, though, with the air suspension, the ride was really rough, and the bike had a tendency to nosedive under braking. Even though it had linked brakes, the front brakes were really weak. So what we went ahead and did is put these Legend suspension on. Now, to put it in context, the first week we had the bike, we took a ride out one day, did about 230 miles. That was about Katie's limit with the bike stock. A little disappointing. You would think from a touring bike, we'd be able to get more out of it, but obviously everybody's needs are different. So we went ahead and got a hammock demo seat, and that got us to about 380 miles for her, but she still was in a lot of pain at the end of that 380 miles. So we wanted to do something to make a big change on the bike. So we went ahead, we went to Brian's Harley Davidson, spoke to Andre and Val, both great people, were really great in helping us out. They recommended that we call Legends just to make sure that we were getting 100% what we were hoping for out of the bike. We went and ordered the suspension, had it put in at Brian's over the winter, and took the bike out, and I have to say it was game-changing. Just out of the initial ride through the parking lot, you could feel how tight the bike was and how nimble it was. We then did some really bumpy back roads, hit some potholes with it, and you could tell right away that we made a great investment. So much so that the gentleman in the service department that has this exact bike took mine out for a quick spin around the parking lot. I don't think he went 100 yards. And he came back and he said to me, "That's unbelievable. I can't believe the difference that this bike has with this new suspension on it." So we've put the new suspension on it. We have the hammock seat on it. The hammock seat's not really what we had hoped for, but I can't say enough about Legend suspension. We did a pre-call sales, talked to their sales force, their technical force, and they were really helpful in telling us how to set the suspension up. They actually had us leave the front suspension the way it was, so it would be a more cushiony ride, and then explain more in detail on how to set the back suspension up. So we were really happy with the way the bike turned out. So that's going to give you a much different ride, so much so that the next ride that we took was 730 miles. And through that 730 miles, Kate had no problem. We were able to just crush miles on this bike. So the Legend suspension makes a huge difference in touring. I'm very happy with it. I know a lot of people say, well, you know, suspension is expensive, but if you're gonna be putting these kind of miles on a bike and you bought a touring bike, I say it's a must do. It's a no-brainer, really. We were able to catch it on sale. We were able to save some money on the installation as well as the shocks themselves. But I would recommend it to anybody over and over again. Legends is great, people. Just guaranteed for life. I'm going to take these with me on my next bike. So if I do move to a road glide in the future, I can throw these on the back. I will have to replace the fronts, but I can throw these on the back with no problem. They're still covered under that lifetime warranty. So you buy them once, you're good for the lifetime. Can't say enough about Legends. It really has changed the bike. I noticed too that back roads, you can ride more aggressively. The bike's a lot more nimble. It tracks better. It stays true. And it's really helped with rider fatigue by giving you just a much more plusher ride. Other thing that I like with this, and I didn't mention sooner, was that with just simple hands, you can spin these and you can adjust them for preload. The beautiful part about that is if you go on a trip and you have the bike with a tour pack loaded and say the side bags, and in our case we had a rick rack on the top, so you're talking a considerable amount of weight has been added to the bike. We went ahead and tightened these up, got to our destination, unloaded our bike, took the bags off, adjusted them back to the way I wanted them. So we had a plush ride when the bike was fully loaded. We also had a plush ride when the bike was empty. You also can adjust the rebound with this knob here, which I really like because you can give the bike a more custom feel. So some people like the bike to come up fast after it hits a bump and it comes down. Other people like that to be more gradual. I find the 3 position for us to be a good middle ground. The bike comes, the wheel goes back faster, but it doesn't go back so fast that you're getting a really hard shock out of it. But I really like that you can adjust the rebound as well as the preload. And again, it's really nice that you can do that by hand. So if you're on the road and you ride single up versus double up, it's not really a big deal to adjust that on the fly. You simply measure it out. You could have one setting for a single rider, one setting for double riders, and maybe one for touring. But I really like the functionality when we were on our trip that I could adjust this so the bike wasn't so hard when it was unloaded. It really gave us still that plush ride that we've come to expect from Legends. So after a year, I've got to say this is an A+ buy. I would say it's an A++ buy. If you have the means to do it, I absolutely recommend doing this to your to an Ultra Limited, any of the Harley bikes. It's the best upgrade we've done on the bike, hands down. So if you've liked this video, please consider subscribing. Go ahead and hit that notification button so you can be notified when the next video drops. Also, if you'd leave this video a like, I'd greatly appreciate that. That helps the channel a lot. And I'd like to know your comments. What have you done to your Ultra Limited to help improve for touring, for long distancing, maybe even everyday riding? So I'd be interested to see if you have Legends yourself. So that's all I've got. Until the next time, remember, you're not alone. See ya.